Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cinema Savvy. It is myself, George, joined once more by Tate for another episode of the monthly streams, the monthly show where we go through everything we've been watching for film and TV, and maybe some other things we might talk about, alongside opening the floor up to any questions from any viewers. But before I guess we kickstart talking some films, Tate, how are we doing today?
Yeah, doing good. I feel like we're going to talk about films obviously from this month, but I feel like we're probably going to talk a lot about TV shows as well, because this month has been dominated by TV in general, with loads of different TV shows releasing their new series. You've got the football on at the moment, so I feel like TV at the moment has kind of almost overtaken films for this month. So I haven't watched a ridiculous amount of films this month.
No, I'm in the same boat. I've watched a few. I've watched a dozen. I can say that I've watched 12.
I've watched 12. Oh no, I've watched 14.
No, ignore me. No, sorry, I've seen 8. That's really bad.
And I've seen 14. It balances out in the end. So
yeah, it's just one of them where it's been a busy month, as you said, and there's not many new releases. July's looking a bit busier, busy. The football's on. It's that it happens sometimes if calendars doesn't work out, life's in the way. There's other things. There's a lot of TV. We're going to talk about TV as well. If you haven't noticed the thumbnail, there's a lot of TV stuff too. But what we do want to hear from anybody watching at home, anyone who'll be watching later on, do comment below with what you watched this month, what any shows, recommendations, films, all that sort of stuff, hidden gems, things we've missed that are new releases, TV shows that are out that we haven't seen yet. I've got a big one. And I said, there's just, I hate watching TV weekly. And at the moment, I've got 3 shows I watch weekly, which is normally it's like one show's on at a time. Sometimes you get an overlap of a week or 2, but we literally have three ongoing big shows. I haven't even seen Doctor Who yet, and a few others. So we'll be talking about them. And if you want to find out other videos else we're working on, go get us on our social medias, linktree.com/cinemasavvy, and we've got a link to Redbubble in the description below. But I guess that in mind, I haven't really planned this out. Shall I go first with what I've been watching? I'll go through the films,
go for it.
And then I'll go through TV, because we're probably going to have overlaps on a lot of the TV. And this will sort of summarizes how low the film watching has been for me this month. So, going with my letterbox, and I had to check this is up to date. It is. I finally watched The Fall Guy on the 4th. Slowly catching up to new releases, as I've obviously been out with a lot of things happening. I went on a Tuesday evening, didn't realize the film was online at this point in time. There was a good show. There's about 15 people. Not bad for a film that's been out like a month at that point. Absolutely loved it. Had a great time. Thought it was very, very funny. Yes, it's more of that sort of rom-com thing, but it's Ryan Gosling, it's Emily Blunt. What more do you want? Chuck in Hannah Waddingham as well, and Aaron Taylor-Johnson with one of the surprises of the year. Not respectively of a twist, but marketing a film without him. So I was really happy with that. So what's The Fall Guy on the 4th? And then on the 8th, now not to come across like a sort of bellend bragging, but if anyone looks at the bottom left of the camera, you can see there's a very distinct Lego box set there. I haven't started building it yet. However, the Lord of the Rings got an extended edition re-release at cinemas this month in the UK. It was shown at the Odeon on one weekend, and then it was being shown at Cinema the next. And I was like, okay, I'd love to watch this. I had a friend that wanted to go. I got the times wrong. I thought it was at 7:30 each night for 3 nights on a weekend. So I rang him at like 2:30. Like I can make it tonight now. I'm free. And he's like, I'm already sat in the cinema. It starts at 2:30. I was like, oh, okay, bye. I didn't make it. Yeah. So that day, my dad was back home for the weekend because there's not family stuff, and so I've not been to the cinema for a few months. I'd love to watch New Planet of the Apes. Do you want to go? And I was like, I saw it last month. I really enjoyed it, but I don't think I want to see it a second time at the cinema because it's not got a long run time, but I don't want to drive there, do the adverts, all that stuff for a film I have seen that I enjoyed that will be out online. I think it's online on the 9th of July. And I said, how about Lord of the Rings? Because he's never seen it. And it's not really, it's a struggle to put that on people. It's a 4-hour experience. Yes, I'm that guy saying do the extended editions. My logic is if it's one of my parents who's only ever going to watch it once, might as well be the extendeds. The whole you enjoy the theatrical, come watch the extendeds because they wouldn't care for that. So it's just me and him. We put it on at like 6 o'clock at night. It was done by 10:30. Had a couple of breaks. He absolutely loved Fellowship. I was like, great, we'll watch one a week or something. Next day, can we watch the Two Towers? And we did. And life's in the way. So he says in Return of the King, and he's going on holiday tomorrow. There's a belated wait for Return of the King. But I have a Lego to build on my week off. Where the hell it's going to go, I don't know, because it's taller than I thought. It's not going to fit on my wardrobe. So yeah, I've been rewatching Lord of the Rings. I'm not good. I missed it at the cinema. I still very much enjoy them. I don't have the connection a lot of people do, but I respect them as a trilogy. But there's a lot of things I love about them. And I know there's been the announcement of this Andy Serkis film, which I guess we'll see come to fruition over the next few years to really figure out what's going on. And I guess a gentle reminder that Rings of Power starts, I think, in mid to late August. So
yeah. Did you watch Series 1?
I did. I didn't mind it. I haven't read what's the Bible Encyclopedia one called?
Silmarillion, yeah.
I've not read it. I thought it was fine.
It was okay, and what's frustrating is that it got a lot of hate from the very, very start.
What, there's a person there's a woman in armor. How dare they? How dare
they? But this will be a common theme with some TV shows and some films and stuff like that that we may be possibly talking about.
The TV shows we're going to talk about say fucking hell.
Yeah, about TV shows where people have hated it before it's even happened, and then
the Bear season 3. Sorry to jump in, I haven't seen it yet. Is sitting in rotten on audience scores. If a show like The fucking Bear, which is so fucking niche that only stans on Twitter have heard of it, is sitting on that because its rabid fangirls apparently upset about the immediate start of a third season. I mean, I've never cared for audience scores anyway, but the idea of an audience score is genuinely killing me. And it's like every week I come online and it's like, it's just literally an argument. It's like a child's argument. This audience score so I'm like, brilliant. Based off your logic, The Rise of Skywalker is better than Episode 3. Thank you, goodbye. And it's. I have no issues with audience members saying this, but it's so obvious when review bombing is happening and shit like this, and it's like grown adults. I think what were those guys called? The really famous prequel trilogy reviews, like back in the day. Is it Red Letter Media or something?
Yeah, Red Letter Media. Yeah.
They did a video and they're basically like, if people don't want to watch the TV show, if they think it's shit, why don't you just stop? And then all these like weirdos like Nerdrotic and all them not started screaming, saying they're hypocrites. How dare they say they're cowards for not going into it? I'm like, they're grown men who are literally just like, we don't want to watch a show we don't want to watch. And we're going to talk about that show, I guess, and some others, but we're in a really strange time, not just with TV, but a lot of real life politics spewing into TV. And there are certain, I don't want to get too political, but there are certainly shows mocking the state of current politics, but also there are politics using modern shows to elaborate their viewpoints on one. So it's a really fucked up cycle we're in. But yeah, we've got a few fun conversations later then, haven't we?
Yes.
Sorry, all that came from Lord of the Rings. Rings of Power, though, I will be watching season 2. I thought season 1 was fine. As an introductory season goes, to someone that doesn't know any of these characters, has not read the book, never going to read the book, if I'm really honest. I read The Hobbit. I didn't like the writing style, so I've not ever bothered to read Lord of the Rings. I certainly won't read the Silmarillion after. And from day one, it has been a 5-season commission show. They can't make more than 5 seasons. They can't make less than 5 seasons. It is locked in, bulletproof 40-episode series. So my mindset has always been, okay, it's the first 8 episodes. I liked the ending, certainly with Mordor and stuff, and I want to see where it goes. I've given it a first season. I watched it week to week. I thought it looked phenomenal. My biggest concern, genuine season 2, shot in England. So that's a bit like xenophobic to my own country, but Lord of the Rings, Hobbit is that New Zealand thing. There was a lot of issues with season 1, obviously with COVID, with the guidelines and guidance from New Zealand. So I can understand them making a call to shoot it in England, especially obviously given the real life history of the writing, where it was wrote in certain maps and placements of Europe being Middle Earth and all that sort of thing. So I'm just curious to see how it's really my thing. It's like, I hate how in The Mandalorian, this is racist, I guess, maybe xenophobic. You know how in The Mandalorian we now have all these American officers, and it's like you just don't sound the same. I'm not saying they can't be good. Giancarlo Esposito has been great, but Kate O'Brien's been great, but when you get like you go to Andros, like proper stern British Imperial officer. That's how I feel with Lord of the Rings. Like, hopefully they don't do the Mandalorian trap. I mean, literally no SNL guest, please. But yeah, sorry, I'm over waffling. Your thoughts on Rings of Power? I guess we'll be talking about it in a few months.
Like I said, it was okay. For me, it was something that I could throw on, and I wasn't offended by it. I wasn't, wowed by it massively. It was there. It's a setup series in the same way that and just like you said, I really enjoyed how it ended and where it kind of left off. In the same way that series 1 of Game of Thrones, it doesn't really start until episode 6, if that makes sense. That's when things start to kick up a notch. And those first kind of episodes, they're just setting the bedwork, they're introducing the characters, putting the people into position. It's like setting up a chessboard. And now the game actually starts. So I guess I'm excited to see kind of where they go from there and how they're able to kind of, deal with the current situation that we're faced off with at the end of the first series. But, we'll talk about the Acolyte when we get around to the Acolyte. But, it's just another TV series where sadly we've got a fan base that is not critiquing it for the right reasons. It's absolutely fine to critique something. It's perfectly fine to critique something as long as you have the right reasons to critique it. If it's to do with the content of the show and not, background things behind it, or, how you feel about, character, depictions, even when you haven't even seen the depiction yet and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of with you. And jumping back to the films I've been watching, actual films, I say finally got around to seeing it. It was the weekend it came out. The Hitman finally arrived on Netflix after they, for some reason, well, not for some reason, it's a great film. Netflix obviously bought the rights to Hitman after the festival run last year and just didn't put it in cinemas, and we had to wait till June to watch it. Absolutely loved it, had a lot of fun with it. I've not seen a great many Richard Linklater films, but this is one I really enjoyed. We'll go back to love Glen Powell, and I know we've got Twisters coming out in July. I then watched Inside Out on the 17th, the first one. I needed to rewatch it before the sequel. I think it was an ironing film. I've only seen it once the first time it came out at the cinema. Yes, I still cried at Bing Bong. Still love Inside Out. It's one of my favorite Pixar films. It like breaks up the Toy Story sandwich, I think, in my top 5 if I ever did a ranking. So yeah, I rewatched the first one. I then had a weekend away, so does it count as watching TV? I went to the wrestling pay-per-view Clash of the Castle, the WWE one, which was fucking carnage. I saw people literally fighting based off the result of wrestling outside, which I've never seen before. Batshit mental. The 22nd, I did quite a double bill. That was what, last Saturday before?
Yeah.
The Bike Riders also finally released. Absolutely loved Bike Riders. Very different to what I thought it would be. I know there's like some of it's based off real life. It's like a fictional take on the real life. I think it's the Chicago. I forgot the name of the biker group, but I like the whole. We're taking a fictional idea based off your reality. I like films that address that from the get go, not right in like, haha, this was inspired by. It was very clear from the get go.
The Vandals.
The Vandals. That's it. The Vandals are the fictional one, and I think the real one is. They've got a different name. And I like that they switched all that around. It was based off the photojournalist was real. That he's got his real book that was published in the 60s, and they've been trying to develop this apparently for quite a few years. So I had a really good time with it. Austin Butler's the star, as we know. He does the Elvis voice. That's what I care about.
Yeah, with the Bike Riders, I said it on the review after the film festival. I immediately said this is going to gain a cult following. This is going to be a film that people will. It's one of those kind of films where we'll look at it 20 years down the line and people will be still going back to it and watching it. And whether it'll kind of make it onto TV and have like runs on ITV4 or whatever, or ITV2, they always do films in the afternoon and stuff like that. But I just get the feeling that there's going to be a lot of people who, as Austin Butler goes through his career, as people, love Tom Hardy and Jodie Comer, they're fantastic actors and actresses. But I just get the feeling that this film is going to be, watched and rewatched, and it's just going to gain over time, and it'll probably get to cult status at some stage.
I am with you. I feel like I hate this description. There's probably a better one for it, but there are certain films these days that go onto Netflix, and when that film goes on Netflix, it's like the biggest fucking thing that ever happened. The Bike Riders would be that. It's got Tom Hardy. It's got Austin Butler. I know Jodie Comer's not as much a household name as them, but she is absolutely phenomenal in the film, and of course is in Killing Eve. That this is a film that if it was on everyone's homepage, everyone would watch it.
Yeah.
I know Sons of Anarchy's big. I know there's a lot of big cast members in this. I like the idea that you're following this biker club from their origin, when the intention was just, old dudes out going on bike rides every week, into what became the modern day, drugs, rock and roll, all that sort of stuff. So I thought it was a really fascinating film. How do you follow up bike riders? Well, with Inside Out 2, back to back. I loved Inside Out 2. It was a great way to continue the story by bringing in the new emotions. The voice cast pretty much nailed it as well. I mean, it's grossed over $1 billion already. It's the highest grossing film. It probably will end up being the highest grossing film of the year. It surpassed everyone's expectations. Disney. It's great to see how Pixar film get a proper cinematic release, because they have fucked up the last few. And I know that Elemental did that amazing comeback, but they still released it in the midst of Mission Impossible, Indiana Jones, Barbenheimer, which was suicide, and it barely survived that. So it's great to see Pixar flourish, and I hope it means we get more Pixar projects back at cinemas, and it's not just an excuse to do more and more and more sequels. That being said,
well, you say that Pixar announced, didn't they, that
they're going to do more sequels.
More sequels, and it's just like, no, come up with you're the company that became famous for original concepts that people loved, and it was fantastic animation. And now you're known as the company that just does sequels for
it's like
franchises, and
you can't get Inside Out 2 without Inside Out 1.
No. But at the same time, I could absolutely see them doing Inside Out 3, because it's something that they could just keep expanding on and exploring.
I'm okay with that. I think you can do a third one, have her go off to uni out of Toy Story 3, and that's probably the last we'd see from that. But Inside Out 3, I could see them announcing it very soon. This is what, D23. There's going to be a spin-off series about the Dream Factory from the first film, which I'm going to watch. That'd be a lot of fun. But it really complements that first film and continues to grow and, I guess, develop the characters. So loved Inside Out 2. Had a lot of fun with that. Then I watched one more film. I don't know where my letterbox has gone. Yes, of course, I remember. How did I forget? Last Thursday, A Quiet Place Day 1 was fucking great. There was no press screenings. Now, I'm not bothered we don't get invited to stuff, but I think there was one press screening on the day of release. The review embargo was after cinemas were showing it in cinemas, which is never normally good. So people are curious about this behind-the-scenes type stuff. If the review embargo is late, sometimes the night before, sometimes 2 nights before, that's normally because they don't want any spoilers to leak. That's your big films. Your Star Wars is your end games. They want it as close a release as possible, but they're confident in it being good. The worst ones are the Netflix 8 a.m.s. That's when it's already gone up. And it's always a worrying sign. And there was one press screen, probably of A Quiet Place. It was like national press and the usual TikTok bollockses, but there was nothing being spoken about. Nothing was being talked about it. The cast did their UK press like a month ago, just a photo call and one junket in America. One of not the worst expectations, but that's not good as an overview heading into release week. And a few people I watched it Thursday, like daytime, so they could go to the reviews like as soon as it got in, so it's still up. And everyone was glowing about it. And I saw the Rotten Tomatoes score, and it was very high. And I was like, hold on. They've got a potential banger here, and they've basically sacrificed word of mouth before it's come out. Now, I know a lot of people will go because the Quiet Place 1 and 2 have been very successful, and people like both Quiet Place films, myself included. But it was a very bizarre technique. Whether it was finished really late, I don't know. But Lupita Nyong'o and Joseph Quinn are fantastic in it. The film is worth watching for their chemistry and their performances, let alone the whole Quiet Place dynamic and the creatures and the sound. It's a really good film. I've seen its box office. It's grossed just under 100 million its opening weekend worldwide, which is fantastic on a 60 mil budget. They've already now announced it's going to go on streaming within a few weeks. It's a success. It's making money. It's going to keep making money. Keep it in cinemas. People are going to go and watch it. It's simple maths, but really recommend it for anyone that hasn't seen it. And it's kind of made me, I hate this whole cinematic universes, but give me more Quiet Place day ones. Give me London. Give me, I don't know, Manchester. Just, I'd love to see
it falls into that, the Netflix Bird Box thing where they did a Bird Box and a Bird Box Barcelona, and it falls into that trap of,
Day one worked because it's New York, isn't it? Because the opening titles is not a spoiler. It's like New York City is the loudest city in the world. It has 90 decibels on average. And we know this is the film you've got to be quiet in. So they can get away with that. And I think because we haven't really seen the invasion, had we'd seen it in the opening of the second film. But yeah, it's like that caveat, isn't it? You want more, but then you don't want more. Because it'd be the same thing everywhere it's going to do. And what they have with this is a really interesting duo of characters. Now, I avoided trailers. I don't know what's public, what isn't. But Lupita Nyong'o, Joseph Quinn, what their characters, their not necessarily their development, but where they are placed within it and what's happened to them in their lives makes for interesting viewing. It's a different dynamic to the other ones. But maybe it's like the whole Fallout thing. Everyone's trying to make Fallout London because people want to see it in London. I'd be curious to see it in other cities, other places, but you're right. It is that bird box. You do run out of steam. I guess we're still going to get a Quiet Place 3 properly. I know they've just announced a video games day with a trailer, haven't they? There's going to be like a game for consoles and PCs, and I guess that'll be like Alien Isolation where people will be shitting themselves. Yeah. But really enjoyed it, and they're the only films I've seen this month. I will probably watch a bit more in July. I've got some time off work. If I build that, there'll be loads of films on the background. Yeah. But do you want to do your films, and then do we chat about TV together?
Yeah, sure, we'll do that. So my films this month, bit all over the place as per usual, but I started off my month by finally watching Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which I enjoyed. I can see how they can turn this into a new kind of trilogy for the franchise. I can see where they can go from this. Enjoyed the character dynamics of the film. Yeah, good addition. They haven't actually made a bad film yet from that series since it was rebooted. So that is that's just a fantastic run of films right there that they've been able to do. I followed up with watching Hell or High Water for the first time. Me and my parents, we wanted to watch Western. It was like, okay, let's watch this modern Western. I've heard really good things about it. Really enjoyed the performances. Reminds me a lot of No Country for Old Men. Very, very similar kind of film in that sense. So, yeah, really, really enjoyed that film. Then went on to a rewatch of The Triangle of Sadness, which is still as funny as, when I first watched it. Very kind of, very interesting commentary on, the modern world and the rich society and everything like that. Great performances all around from there. And now we have a big hitter. So, as people know from watching all of the previous monthly watches, I've been going through every single X-Men film and rewatching them all before Deadpool and Wolverine comes out. And I finally got to the only film that I hadn't actually seen yet, the only film that I'd never seen before, which is The New Mutants. The New Mutants is... I don't even know how to describe it. It's not bad, like basement bad. It's not awful bad.
It's just like pointless.
It's the modern term of mid. It is just so mid. It is not a good watch. It's not a bad watch. It exists. I sat through it. It was quite short. Some of the performances are okay. Some of the performances are dreadful. The writing is awful in it. Some of the action's okay. It's just there. It happens. And it had a link to Logan. So, yeah, have you seen it yet? Or
I saw it when it came out. I remember it being delayed, 3 years, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
That by the time they'd cast Anya Taylor-Joy, she was probably just on the back of Split, and this came out probably way after Glass, maybe.
This would have come out after Queen's Gambit, I think.
Definitely, I probably filmed before Queen's Gambit.
It probably did, yeah.
And Maisie Williams was in it because I remember in the trailers. Charlie Heaton from Stranger Things. I don't remember anyone else. There's probably someone else in it who's a big. There's probably going to be someone else in it now who's massive, and I don't remember from 3 years ago. And
it had a really good cast.
It's a bit like the Dark Phoenix thing, right? I mean, and I guess it's a bit different because Dark Phoenix was, the core X-Men films. It was like this film was going to get made before Disney agreed to buy Fox, and then it just sort of sat there and just kept. I don't know if it was reshoots. I don't know if budget. I just don't know if they didn't want to release it. I don't know if it was COVID or all of it. New Mutants was strange. I remember seeing it at the cinema. I don't remember I double billed it, but I definitely remember watching it during one of the COVID. Not lockdowns, obviously, when it was that period, wasn't it? When places are open, but places are empty. And I just remember going to watch it. I don't know what the review would be like on the channel, but I was just it's weird, isn't it? I personally would not give everything a free pass, but it's the sort of film that probably should have been greenlit from day one.
Yeah.
And I will say this, given the Batgirl drama, do not do a tax rebate to get rid of it. Yeah, it exists. Let it be out there. People worked on it. People are credited on it. People got a right to watch what they worked on, etc., etc. I'm just indifferent to it. And I'd imagine the Fox stuff has a lot to do with that.
Yeah. Well, it happened.
Flat Wave for X-Men's Men.
Yeah.
It's like a post-credits film that no one watched. Before post-credits,
it's not even post-credits. It's pointless. It's like it has no point to it. Shall we say? And then a run of Netflix films. So Bodies came back onto Netflix, and of course I wanted to watch it again because I really enjoyed it. It's a really good kind of modern whodunit, horror kind of, survive the night film with some brilliant performances thrown in there. Really slick writing, really good visuals in that film as well. I watched Hitman, which I really enjoyed, and I've got to go ahead and say this now because this has been plaguing my mind for a while now with this film. At London Film Festival, this film was in the pre-festival kind of film release. There was no showings of this at the actual festival, and it pissed me off so much because people can't always get up for films. People block out their work schedule, people block out time to go to the actual festival. What is the point in pre-festival programming that has one of the biggest films there at the festival that would have done really well, got the word out, whatever? You're showing a press screening before the festival even starts. What's the point?
Am I right in saying there was almost like one or two public screenings that were all sold out too? Like it was some public screens at LFF will be like 4 or 5 times, but I'm pretty sure Hitman was like once or twice.
There was 2 screenings. They were both on the same day, and they were both sold out straight away, like within seconds.
And the press screening was packed because people obviously were there for all of it. And the ones that went before, and people were turned away, I'm pretty sure, from that screening too, because that wasn't even at the main areas.
If I remember, the press screening was on like the Wednesday or Thursday, and the festival started on the Monday or something around that. Maybe it was on the Monday and the festival started.
Yeah, I think it was that.
Yeah, which it's not just like, oh, it's one day before the festival starts. Maybe you'll be able to get up early and watch it. No. This was a few days before. It was a morning screening as well, so people had to go up in the morning to go and see it. That really annoyed me, especially how good the film actually is, and what we missed out on for having an actual proper full-on press screening for it within the festival. It's crazy, especially when, programming wise, they have films going on all day. There's loads of slots available. Could they have not thrown in an extra slot? Was it absolutely desperate to have other films take priority within the festival programming? That's a big criticism from me, at least, because a film like that could have opened the festival realistically.
And I think as well, it was one of the biggest hits at Venice. It was the film that everyone watched. Was like, oh my fucking god, Hitman this, Hitman that. Netflix paid, I think, a lot for those rights too, and it's like boom. Zipped for everywhere else. Maybe that's Netflix's strategy. Because,
funnily enough, at the time, The Killer was coming out in that festival, and people were going, "Oh yeah, like The Killer's going to be good, sure," but everyone's not talking about The Killer. Everyone's talking about the other, film Hitman. It's like,
not Pool Guy.
No,
I believe that's now on Amazon Prime. The God, Pool Man, sorry, it's Pool Man, isn't it?
Maybe I'll give it a watch. But no, it's crazy how good a film it is, and to have that kind of release frustrated me. I then did Glass Onion again, just an easy watch. I've been really getting into my whodunit mysteries recently. I don't know why. I've just been I've been hankering for whether it's a whodunit TV show. I really enjoyed all of the seasons of Only Murders in the Building. I also watched, I know we haven't gone into TV yet, but I also watched A Murder at the End of the World, which was really good. But, Glass Onion and Knives Out, fantastic films. And we've got Wake Up Dead Man, which is going to go, it's already started filming in the UK. So looking forward to, that and the next rendition of Benoit Blanc and getting Daniel Craig back. They're incredibly clever films, and they're just an easy watch for me to just throw in the background whilst I'm doing something. I know how the mystery pans out. I'm just there for the humor. I'm there for the mystery and just to figure it out myself again. But really enjoyed that. And then I rewatched 12 Angry Men, one of my favorite films of all time. Bit of history of this. When I joined the channel, I think I was asked the question. I can't remember who asked me the question, but it was like, "Oh, what kind of films do you like?" And I literally looked at my shelf and I was like, "Oh, Marvel films, classics like 12 Angry Men, Cinema Paradiso." And it's like, "Oh, okay." And I've still got those films up here on my shelf. I love old school kind of classic cinema, and it's one of the best ones. I remember watching it for the first time and just being kind of blown away by a film just being filmed in one location, pretty much one camera angle, just showing everything. And yeah, fantastically put together. I heard there is a remake of it. I don't want to watch it, but yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I know it was Sidney Lumet's first film because I saw, what did I see of his last year? I've not seen many of his films. I can't remember the one I watched. I don't want to say the wrong film in case he didn't direct it, but
Dog Day Afternoon you watched because...
Dog Day Afternoon, that's it. The Al Pacino one. I thought it was Al Pacino. That was bloody incredible. But I've still not seen 12 Angry Men. I see the Criterion pop up on HMV all the time to try and order, and it's one I will watch one day because I really like Dog Day Afternoon. That's probably one of the favorite first watch I've had in actually the last couple of years.
Yeah. Well, this might be one of your favorite first watches when it comes around to it as well. It's just a really, really well put together film, and the fact that you don't actually learn the characters' names at all throughout the entire thing is just, basically they could have been anyone, and they're just kind of placed into their roles and their stereotypes. That's basically what the entire film's about. Inside Out 2 went to the cinemas for that. Once again, you pick a time to go and watch a kids' film, opening day, 12 o'clock on a Friday. You're like, great, there are going to be no kids there. And then suddenly kids walk in. You're just like, it's school time. What are you doing here? Get out, kind of thing. But yeah.
I got lucky. So I did a double bill, right? And I always do it for the timings to be nailed on. I can walk out of one film and literally walk into another screen and it's on the adverts or it's just about to start. I was at a 11:30 bike rider showing and Inside Out was 1:50. However, the 1:50 showing was IMAX and it would have been like an extra 40 minutes wait to do Inside Out normal. To do it the other way around, it would have been just way later in the day. I don't want to do that because I've got to make the times work. I was like, okay, I'm a Cineworld member. I'll pay the £4 to watch it in IMAX just for the sense of time. And I was like, oh, God. I was like, I'll book. There's always 4 seats reserved for staff at Cineworlds. And I love booking the seat next to the 4. So online, people think there's 5 seats that are gone. And I always know I can put my bag and stuff down next to it.
Yeah.
I was dreading it. And I sat down at 1:52, I think, because it hadn't started yet. And I was like, there's no one here. I was like, this isn't right. Like, if I got the times mixed up, came back and the times were right. And then 2 kids and a dad sat behind me, directly behind me. Chair kicked straight away. That was it for 10 minutes. And then about 10 people came in. There were like 12 on a Saturday afternoon. I know it's the second week, but the second week was massive. And I just sat there saying, maybe I'll book the IMAX more for animated films to avoid. I mean, and I get it too. You ain't going to pay £20 a ticket for families to watch that in an IMAX. Like, I said when my parents were as a kid, normal tickets, like what, like £11? Of course they'll do it. So I was sat there like, maybe this is the plan moving forward. Is to I mean, normally I'm very specific with IMAX, right? I'll be like, nah, I'm not watching that film. I'm like, Wolverine and Deadpool, IMAX is only getting it in 3D in the UK, and I literally just sat there like, fuck Cineworld for doing that. Fuck Disney. Yeah. That's not shot in 3D. I want to watch it in IMAX, but I'm not going to at all now because I'm not doing it in 3D. And it's that sort of mindset is I'll watch it in IMAX if it's right. And I'm just sat there saying empty Pixar screenings where I don't, because Inside Out 1 was that traumatic screening I speak about where I didn't realize it was the first day of the summer holidays. I went late morning and I felt like a paedophile because every parent was with their kids. I'm sat there in the middle. So I think when the next Pixar film I watched at the cinema, non-Toy Story, was Onwards, and I went right to the far right. No one can see me, and that was packed. But yeah, I was shocked at how few people. No, I'm not shocked at how few people because it was the IMAX.
Well, I'm more to the fact that I'm still shocked that parents will take their kids out of school to go and watch Inside Out on day one, screening one. It's a bit of an odd one. And this isn't school holidays. I know it's not school holidays. So unless they're homeschooled, it's a bit like, what are you doing here with your kids kind of thing. it's midday on, was it Friday or Thursday? It was one of the two. But it's like, come on, like seriously, I've picked this screening so there was no kids. What are you doing here, kind of thing. But they do this is an interesting question. They do screenings of, they've started doing them in Cineworld, kids only screenings where the kids can chat as much as they want, the parents can bring their kids, and baby screenings and shit like that. They do them now. They do different screens, various different things. Could you not have a no kids allowed screening of animated films so that people feel that comfort and don't have to deal with kids screaming and running down the aisles?
It's like they're showing the Iron Giant this week for the Cineworld doing their 25th anniversary thing. It's like Iron Giant movies for juniors, and I was like, none of you were born.
No, it's a 1999 film.
And also movie for juniors. Like, I mean, I'm not going to go and watch it because I've got plans to come. I was just sat there like, no, like that can't, like that. The whole point is advertising to people that grew up with them as well as new viewers. And I do want to watch A Bug's Life when the time comes. And I will judge any parent and say you brought your child to a film starring Kevin Spacey, you nasty piece of work. Which should make the screens somewhat emptier. But yeah, it's it's so frustrating. Listen, and the thing is, it's family films are what's really struggled at the box office, but they're also safe at the same time because people aren't going to go by themselves or with a partner. A lot of the time, it's going to be, hey, we're selling 4 tickets or we're selling none. But because Inside Out 2 is a locked down, I think a 90-day theatrical window, that message is hit home. You ain't seeing that on Disney Plus till later in the year if you're lucky.
So you want to
and
watch
that's
it
why they're going to go. Yeah, and hey, they've released the Disney Pixar summer film not a month after in the UK for a change, but also they've done it. I say before the blockbusters. It's not an awful many compared to last year.
Despicable Me 4 is coming out soon, so
yeah, but it's like they've scheduled it so much better than the last few years. So, and also it's Inside Out. It was never not going to fail.
True.
Just
true.
But yeah, sorry to divert on that.
No, that's okay. And then immediately afterwards, I was like, look, I need a film to compare this to. So I watched Turning Red as soon as I got back home. I was like, okay, I need to watch the other Pixar film that's about a similar-ish subject that kind of goes through the same kind of things, and a lot of similarities from the films. I think on reflection, I prefer Inside Out over it. But I still think that Turning Red should have had a theatrical run. And it's a shame that they didn't really have one until this year when they, put that out with Luca and what was the other film that...
Yeah, but why release 4 years later with nothing behind it? Like,
I know.
I understand the COVID ones, but it's frustrating, especially Turning Red. And the one they released was Lightyear, which bombed because...
Yeah.
No one wanted to watch. I mean, a Lightyear film could have worked, but not that Lightyear film.
So, Lightyear is still the only Pixar film I haven't seen.
Honestly, like I was so excited by the announcement. You're going to watch the film that Andy watched, and I can get behind that. It's still a tough side, but I can get behind the logic. Chris Evans is voicing Buzz Lightyear. Like it should have been Woody Allen. Not Woody Allen. For fuck's sake, Tim Allen. And it's like, do you care about that? I mean, it's like, Zerg, here's a giant twist. Here we go. I know you. Twist,
so it's like,
I am you. And I was like, fuck you. Like, that, and I never feel like that films, but I was like, I don't normally do the whole, they're trying to be smart, but I'm like, come on, man. Like, this is... that was the most I've ever seen a film try and be, but no one talks about that because no one watched
it. That's a Toy Story film.
But this is it, and it's like because it starts with this is what Andy watched the cinema. I was like, wow, that's the film he got obsessed with. Bloody hell. But sorry to divert. I mean, what a Pixar rank video would be great. So I'm looking, and Elemental last year was great, and it saved itself for the box office, but. I just hope Inside Out 2 marks a turn that the UK is going to get Pixar films at the same weekend release as America.
Yeah, I completely agree. Now I have a really interesting run of films. A couple of first-time watches. Little Miss Sunshine, which I really enjoyed. Very similar to my first watch of Big Fish from the month before. Films which I've always had listed down, and whenever I look at film recommendations online for the kind of the films that I like, they always pop up, and both of them have been fantastic. thoroughly enjoyed Little Miss Sunshine. I'll probably end up watching it again, just like Big Fish. Yeah, it's nice that even though, my list of films to watch is still massive and I'll never get through it. It's really nice that I'm starting to get through ones which at least, I'm enjoying. I watched Election for the first time, which was fun. And the reason why I watched it was because, of course, we have an election coming out, and I know it's not the same. I know it's kind of based in America and stuff like that. And
they've got one. Just like
I know, but the entire kind of point of watching Election is the film is meant to be kind of taking the mick out of all politics. It puts politics onto a smaller scale. It puts it into kind of like being voted class president, and it goes through the different kind of belief systems within politics and the levels of scandal and the levels of campaigning and all of that, and throws into a comedy. So I really enjoyed it for that sense. It can be kind of enjoyed and viewed from any perspective of any politics. I finally watched A Quiet Place Part 2, finally, because I hadn't seen it before. I mean, I've never been not like a super fan of the franchise. I enjoyed A Quiet Place Part 1, and I really enjoyed A Quiet Place Part 2. But it was mainly because I knew that I would at some point watch day one in the cinemas, which I haven't been able to go around and watching this month. But it is on my list of things to do over the next week or so, to go out and watch that.
90 minutes. Sorry to jump in.
Excellent.
90 minutes.
Good. That is so easy to digest. I can do that.
Here's a film, sorry, I didn't watch. Kind of Kindness. I wanted to watch it. There was a slot after England's game, but it went extra time. But I did not realize it was 2 hours 44 minutes before advert. So I was like, no, goodbye. I don't normally judge films on runtime, but I'm struggling to watch films at the moment. I ain't gonna watch a 3-hour film.
A 3-hour Yorgos Lanthimos film.
Yeah, and it's not been received well.
If it's at a film festival, I'll watch it. But
chucked out in June. Sorry to divert.
And I finally finished the month with another rewatch of Fighting with My Family, just as an easy throw on and watch. I'm not a big fan of wrestling. I just watched the film and I liked the story. I liked the message behind it, and I can get behind that. I do like underdog stories, and that is a good one. There we go. TV.
Getting in the wrestling films, you've seen The Iron Claw, you've seen The Wrestler, you've seen Fighting My Family.
I know.
Who knows? Well, wait till wrestling comes to Netflix in January. That shit is going to go big. Genuinely, the different conversation, but legitimately, the whole world is going to go on Netflix on January the 1st, and it's just going to be plastered with WWE and probably The Rock's face, actually.
Probably.
But let's talk some TV. We don't normally split this up, but this month is ridiculous for TV. Doctor Who. I've not seen it yet. You've been doing the weekly videos. I know the series is done. I know that a lot of people have been mixed on the finale. I will try and watch it when I have run out of shows to follow weekly because, do you want to quickly summarize your thoughts on that? For people
I can summarize it. It's a return to form. It's better than the Chibnall era, which surprisingly is the only era of Doctor Who that isn't named after the person who plays the Doctor. It's not the Whittaker era, which is a shame, because she put in loads of good performances. I guess it's also kind of a blessing in disguise because the Chibnall era connotation. Yeah, the Chibnall era is a negative connotation. So the fact that she hasn't had her name kind of thrown into that mix is fine. But the start of the Gatwa era, or the fresh reboot era, whatever they're calling it, has been really good. They got some really solid episodes in there. There's a run of episodes from episode 3 all the way through to episode 7, which are all fantastic and are, up there at least with kind of some of the better episodes since the revival in 2005. They're not like top. They're not like all-timers, but they're really good episodes, really good concepts and everything like that. Some very interesting things done with or without the Doctor. They don't need the Doctor anymore for a lot of these stories. I know that was due to filming conflicts and stuff like that. But the episodes without Ncuti kind of starring as the main character are actually some of the best and some of the most loved from the series. Doesn't mean that he doesn't put in a great performance when he's on the screen. What they're saying is the character itself of the Doctor doesn't need to be present for the Doctor to have an adventure and for the world of sci-fi to be explored through the eyes of Doctor Who. So glad that that's happening. And there's 2 spin-offs happening that they're looking into, or it may be 1 spin-off. There's just been talks of, there's one called The War Between Land and Sea, which is going to follow Martha and kind of her journey going on. And there's one which might be a unit TV show, but I'm not sure if it's the same thing. Now they've got an actual unit kind of team that they go and revisit a couple of episodes in this series, then it's done well. Finale was polarizing. Some people like it, some people don't like it, but can we at least say it's better than some of the finales they've had in recent times? So, moving forwards, I have high hopes for Doctor Who, and decent series overall.
I would say I'd heard about the middle run that everyone was raving week to week, that run in the middle. And I shall try and watch it in the next couple of months. Shona, you've not been watching that I have. House the Dragon has returned. No weekly spoiler discussions because there's so much TV on at the moment. 3 episodes in. It's so weird. We have to call it phenomenal. It is the consistency of season 1. And to me, season 1 is that consistency of the first 6 seasons of how it's Game of Thrones. And I'm not going to hit it in who about 7, 8 or whatever. We all know about those, and for so many varying reasons, which I don't think is solely on the showrunners. I also think is on an author who maybe gave the rights away for something too early. If he is adamant they weren't ready and didn't deserve it, or maybe he did give them the right details and just people didn't like it, so he's avoiding publishing them. But first episode has been fucking superb so far. And Otto Hightower has become one of my favourite characters through one ridiculous moment. I mean, he's eyeball Paul anyway, so he'll always be eyeball Paul to me, Rick Stephens. But he gave me Grimsby the time to pick a side. He's like, they're all genocidal maniacs. I hope they all die. It's like fucking legend. So House of the Dragon, great. What else? I've not seen The Bear season 3 yet because it's been very busy. It came out on Thursday. I've heard a lot of good stuff about it. I heard, as we mentioned earlier, some like wild raving girls are upset because a certain opening episode didn't immediately change or something like that. I don't know. I'm trying to avoid reading anything to do with people like that at the moment. But Stan's got upset basically, which is always the way. Whatever TV, I'm catching up to Star Wars Visions. I've finished. I never spoke about last month. I can't remember, but I have now seen both volumes of Star Wars Visions. I'd always avoided them, not in a rude way. I just didn't really care for a non-canonical series without disrespecting animation, but I'm not big on anime, so the appeal that was there for so many others wasn't there for me. I'll be really honest, I kind of enjoyed season 1, but like any anthology series or whatever we'd call it, different episode, different studio, loved that premise. Some work for you, some don't work for you. And I guess that's to be expected. The purpose of the show is to see what animation companies, studios can do within the Star Wars world. And there's some really cool stuff in there. Season 2, I don't like as much, but I do respect the fact that rather than just sticking to Japan or sticking to another country's animation, they've gone worldwide. So you get very different animation styles, storytelling methods, and there's some really good stuff. And obviously, I'm going to be a bit biased, but I fucking loved the Aardman episode.
I really liked the Cartoon Saloon episode.
That's the one where the kid becomes the Sith at the end, right? Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
My favorite one overall is still the very first episode, and I know that's the whole traditional samurai Japanese stuff.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. And tell you what I liked, which I thought I despised, that is growing on me a lot. The weird Jabba the Hutt thing. Was it maybe episode 2? The weird band. Not my cup of tea. Not my cup of tea, but it reminded me of something like Scott Pilgrim or something. But that was something I thought I'd hate, but I really enjoyed that one. But yeah, I'm glad I've finally seen them all. Ticks it off.
Other TV, The Boys.
The Boys, yes. Fucking, I can't do the voice. Just diabolical. I still love the fact that he's voicing an English person, and it's so not English, but I don't care because Carl Urban is so good in the show. I'm very much enjoying season 4 so far. Once again, to bring up ridiculous audience scores. A lot of very, very upset people because it's took them 4 seasons to realize they're the butt of the joke.
What do you mean it's about us?
No, I saw a friend of the channel, Neil. He'd seen the whole series early, as had another friend of the channel, Ren. When we were at Clash of the Castle, the wrestling pay-per-view, Ren was chatting to me. He's like, "I've just put my review up." Same week, we got a lot of comments on a certain review on a certain series of TV. He was getting a lot of comments for his whole boys season review. He was being called a shirt and everything because he liked the whole season. I don't think any episode had aired at this point, and they were raging because, again, this is the show where the switcheroo, but this is the show where obviously it's been influenced by today's politics very much. And that's obviously stemmed online into the divide as so much of it is. And listen, the only thing I can really say, and I'm not here to slag off like views or anything like that, people need to get out of their echo chambers. I saw a tweet from Star Wars Theory, who we all know is one of the biggest morons on the internet. And he's like, yes, I've never seen the Star Wars fan base this united with me. I'm like, okay. Most of my Twitter is positive. But that's because the accounts I follow, the people I follow, the people I interact with are maybe more in the same wavelength I am. So I've seen more positivity. I've seen some negativity, a lot more on Facebook than on Twitter. But again, it's the different echo chambers, it's algorithms, it's encouraging what you're going to watch and what you're going to like. So I try not to take notice of that. But sometimes you can't not take notice and you just see things. And some of it's absolute bollocks. Some of it's ridiculous. Some of it's fake interviews, which is going around from Amanda Stellenberg. I know this was meant to be talking about the boys, so I'll go back to the boys quickly. But Anthony fucking Starr, get the man his Emmy nomination for episode 4. One of the coldest performances. Mark Hamill Joker-esque at times. And we've got, 3? Is it 8 episodes this series?
I think so, yeah.
3 more episodes, and then we know that now that season 5 is going to be the final season, which is kind of sad at the same time, but I'm here for it. I absolutely love the show, and I'm going to miss it when it finishes.
Yeah, I'm bored with it. Not bored with it. I'm on board with it. Sorry. It's just one of those things where it escalates, and it's never been a show that's been subtle about its messages, which makes it hilarious that people are only just realizing that they're taking the piss out of their political ideology, and that just happens to be kind of.
It was funny when they were taking the piss out of the other ideology that they don't like.
Oh yeah,
which I thought was funny too, because I'm neither of those ideologies, and also it's way more acquired to American politics than British politics as well at the moment.
Absolutely, yeah.
But it's like, look how funny it is. They're mocking Pride and stuff like this. I'm like, yes, they are. They're also mocking the corporate retaliation of Pride, where they turn it into their own thing, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Hey, guess what? We're going to make one little joke about it. They'll start screaming, angry, woke, woke, woke. It's just, I fucking love it. Eric Kripke, keep it going, son. And also these weirdos online who are just giving abuse to fucking Annie's actress. I forgot her name. Erin Moriarty. It's just ridiculous as well. I've
also seen something going towards Mother's Milk actor.
Yeah, he's just had a shave and lost a little bit of weight, and they thought he got recast. Are they that thick? Listen, if you're gonna comment on one actor from The Boys about what they get up to outside of The Boys, look no further than Frenchie, because no one else wants to fucking talk about that shite at the moment. So, but no one's talking about that. No, they don't want to talk about that. But it's online, isn't it? And again, it's what I'm saying about echo chambers. Most people I know fucking love The Boys, but it's just that very, very, very loud minority. The audience hated it. It's under 50%. I'm like, no one, like Amazon had to release a statement saying like it's the highest opening view count of all 4 seasons of The Boys. Yeah, and they're trying to say it's the worst season yet. Well, clearly not.
Talking about the loud majority and shows that are getting a lot of hate, which realistically they shouldn't be getting the hate for what they're getting the hate for. We had this conversation before we went live here, because
I didn't even know you were watching it, because I wanted to check first.
As people know, I do like Star Wars. I'm not on a lot of the Star Wars videos, but you know, I do enjoy Star Wars. I have my Krennic pop right here in front of me.
He's coming back, by the way.
He is coming back.
I kind of knew it'd happen, but apparently, until I see his face, I won't believe it.
Yeah, I've got a lightsaber somewhere in the room. Like I've always enjoyed Star Wars, but I'm not that kind of knowledgeable about the Star Wars universe, so I don't usually come on for a lot of the reviews. I'm there for things where I can just talk about things up front. So, say for example, I'm watching the Acolyte, where I know no info about the about High Republic and everything like that going into it. I can't give you the facts about various different characters, and you know, about what was happening in this era of Star Wars, or what's already been laid out in kind of, you know, official books, or you know, anything that's canon or anything like that. I've watched the series so far. I've enjoyed it. Bit of a slow start. Some things which some things which I haven't enjoyed as much, maybe a bit of under character development. But apart from that, the series itself, it's Star Wars content. I'm gonna watch it. This one has lightsaber fights. I'm really gonna watch it. But I was asking the question, why is this series so hated? Because realistically, I've watched this content, and this content's good, especially the last 2 episodes, which were fantastic. And you've went and told me basically, oh, what was it? You said like, oh, the director's lesbians, there's lesbian witches in the show, and you know, like one of the lead characters.
It's been like ultra politicized. What's the word? I mean, before the show aired, there were no public screenings. It was on a 40% audience score, and this is my favorite. I don't do stats, but it's like football terms, isn't it? Like it's at like 15% on Rotten Tomatoes or something. Fuck knows for audience perspective at least. So if you're now going off audience scores, again, episode 9 is now better than all the prequels. So enjoy that. But also, this makes it the most popular Star Wars series ever made. It's 2 episodes of The Acolyte in 2 weeks. The Acolyte was more popular than 5 years of The Mandalorian, based off these audience scores, because it had that many more votes. The French film, The Acolyte, from 15 years ago, has been review bombed as well. Nothing to do with Star Wars. A Star Wars fan film from many years ago, Phil sent me this, got review bombed. A fan film that's not real. Got review bombed. It's just ridiculous
at this point. Yeah. And there's got to be a way to stop that kind of thing.
Well, I've never looked at audience metrics. And my favorite one I saw was someone saying that why no one cares about critics' scores. I'm like, okay, I get it. Like, I personally am not bothered by Rotten Tomatoes metrics. But you can't really say that when you're using a website designed to compilate the simplicity of a yes or no. Critics liked this. That's what I find hilarious. I mean, IMDb, I don't care for IMDb, but that is a genuine audience score thing, because you look at the 1 to 10 and the curves and et cetera, but the simplicity of it is insane. And listen, I'll say it like I said in every video. If you've got legitimate problems, hey, this story's not working for me, I'm not invested in the characters, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, great, that's fucking valid, and go for it. I'm not invested in the High Republic era. I myself am in that territory. That's been my biggest criticism. I'm not sure what I think of this era, because it's never interested me to an extent. That's why I've not read the comics and books, and fair fucks to those that do, and it's very popular. It's been a very, very successful era for Lucasfilm. Not just from a canonical standpoint with books and comic sales, but putting it into games, putting it into animated series, putting it into its own TV series such as this. The High Republic has been a success. And again, I've not followed any of it until it cropped up in Fallen Survivor, and it's cropped up with this Acolyte. And I've had to keep saying as well, like when I've not liked bits of it, I'm like, it's an 8-episode miniseries. And it is not a murder mystery, but the marketing of it has been, it is more of a mystery show week to week. And I'm sat there like, and I'm not here just to slag off people online, but it's just the media literacy is starting to kill me. And I saw a lot of House of the Dragon yesterday. I know you've not seen, so I won't talk about it, but there's a scene where 2 characters have an interaction. I've seen all these texts from people online saying, how can this happen? How is this possible? Did you watch the episode? They visibly explain and give a story to how this can be. Then follow it through with actions, and then follow it through. And like, do people not watch what they're watching? And with the case of the Acolyte, the biggest thing I have, as I said, valid criticism. Hey, I'm not entertained by the story. I don't care. The characters are great. Episode 1. What's the one clip going viral from the usual social media accounts? Oh my god, a fire in space. The next 6 days online, everyone mocks and starts sharing.
From the first Star Wars film, explosions and.
I know.
Oh, okay.
But episode 2, episode 2 or 1 was the same day. Episode 3, The Witches, it's destroyed the canon of Anakin. It's destroyed the Force. It's destroyed that he was a child of the Force. I'm like, no, like, yes, a cult of witches have created life through the Force, but we don't have that story to hand, and it has no implications on Anakin Skywalker at present or at all. Maybe it could by the end of the show. Maybe it could in 2 years, 3 years time, if there's sequels, if there's books, whatever. All we know is that Anakin had no father. That doesn't mean this event from 150 years before. My approach, hey, maybe the Sith found out that they were able to create life, which Palpatine talks about in Episode 3, by the way. And there's pretty much a Star Wars comic where there's Palpatine and Shmi, but I think it's to be a vision or something. But it's like people can't wait, not even wait, but people want all the answers immediately. But you're 2 episodes into an 8-episode series, and I'm just struggling to comprehend media literacy now. I'm starting to sit here. I don't like sort of critiquing people for being thick, but I am starting to not want IQs to watch TV shows, but I'm astounded by the stupidity of people online. But even more so, the ones that follow these morons like Star Wars Theory, Nerdrotic, have some free thinking, guys. They're paying Disney Plus the monthly fee still to live stream watching at 2 a.m. to pinpoint something. And the Kiadi Mundi stuff's probably even as worse as the rest. Like, he wasn't born. It wasn't canon, a fictional comic where he has like 5 or 10 wives to repopulate his thing. George Lucas used to basically say, none of this expanded universe is real. It's real when I put it in a film or show. It hasn't been canon for 12 plus years or whatever it is now. And now suddenly they care about Kiadi-Mundi's birthday. This isn't Fantastic Beasts where the author of the book has come and written someone in 60 years before they were born. It is not that. It is a random comic from 20 years ago that's not canon, is now being cited as the be-all and end-all. And Kiadi-Mundi is now a character. And, oh my God, in the prequels, he says the Sith have been extinct for a millennium. Yes, he says it. That's the whole fucking point of the Phantom Menace, is that they were never fucking extinct. That's the point of the prequel trilogy. They weren't extinct. Yeah. And I just struggle that the people just saying this for bait, some I'm sure are, or are they that thick? And that's what I think
genuinely they're out. I think they're that thick, and they have their own perception of what they want from a Star Wars show or from their own fan base or their own fandom. And this goes back round to the whole Rings of Power thing with the, the backlash.
It goes back to the Star Wars prequels.
It goes back to all of it. I
had an idea in my head for how he turns Darth Vader, and it didn't happen. And the one I was talking about, we know the usual suspects, and it's like, I hate it. I proudly slagged off the prequel trilogy for 10 plus years. Disney slags off George Lucas for 10 plus years. Says the man destroyed his childhood of Indiana Jones, which Spielberg takes more credit for episode 4, by the way. So happy he sold it, he got rid of it. And now they're all crying and desperate for him to come back. There are literally documentaries made about, was it George Lucas versus the people or stuff like that. And it's always funny, and what I always like to sort of know that watched Rogue One 6 times in cinema, bragged about how they watched Rogue One 6 times in cinema, then proceeded to say it was crap, and they hadn't seen it. And same with Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen. But I'm not even struggling, but I just have to say this: no one said shit after episode 5. And listen, I called episode 5 one of the greatest live action episodes of Star Wars TV. 1 week on, short span of time. 1 week on, I maintain that it is right up there with some of the Mandalorian.
I would say number one's No Way Out.
Yeah, I was to say I've got Andor, No Way Out. The last episode of Andor season. If you were to narrow down like the best live action Star Wars TV episodes, I'm gonna have No Way Out from Andor, the finale of Andor season 1, the Luke Skywalker Mandalorian season 2. Probably Mandalorian season 1, episode 3, or the fun.
I was going to say episode 3 was very
You could probably narrow it down off the top of my head to 5 or 6. Episode 5, the Acolyte's right up there. The choreography is prequel-esque. I've listened to interviews with the choreographers where they spoke about how they did the episode, how they stylized. They wanted to see the fighting stances, how they are in 1v1s, how they are with this, with that, a group, blah, 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 blah. It's fucking fantastic. Here's the funny thing, man. 1 week after they're all crying about Kiadi-Mundi and Can not being followed, they're all raging that they've put in some fucking metal from 20 years ago. Pick when it, and it's
picking and choosing.
I'm sorry, headbutting a fucking helmet like it's a bullet header on a football 90-minute equalizer to shut off a lightsaber for 10 seconds is visually fucking great.
Yeah, it is.
And also to Red Wedding, most you cast, doing children, 5 episodes in, to which one of the 5 was a flashback. Ballsy, I like it. I cannot wait to see tomorrow's episode, which comes out in just
I'm looking forward to it as well. I'm looking forward to it as well. But that's I guess that's all the TV shows I have watched.
Same. I feel like I'm probably missing something, but there's so much TV. There's going to be more
Mm.
starting up. So as we said Rings of Power, Game of Thrones
Yeah.
is going to carry on. Also, House of Dragon, by the way, I don't know if you know this, there is a new opening title sequence, not a theme, but
I've seen the new opening title sequence.
Yeah, and it changes episode by episode, so that's really
amazing.
cool, really cool. And it's a lot better than they did for season 1 because it's obviously the Targaryen monarchy history, which I thought was really fun little addition. So that's everything I've been watching / ranting about this month. I'll probably have a bit more this time next month. I've got a week off. I've got to build a Lego. I think last time when I built the Venator, I watched like 15 films or something ridiculous.
How many Godzilla films are you going to go through this month?
You know what? My target was to watch all 37 by November the 1st, and I need like 20 more to watch. I don't know that's going to happen.
You're going to get that. It's fine. You're going to knock out like 4 or 5. You know,
I could. The problem is like if I'm doing the background to Lego, it's in Japanese and I don't know it. But so I'm gonna have to get English language films and then hopefully smash Godzilla like when I'm resting or something. But yeah, there's wrestling to catch up on. Money in the Banks this weekend, and that's becoming a thing now. Moana 2 had a trailer. The Rock's back. Then they're doing live action Moana, and he'll be at WrestleMania probably next year too. So he's gonna have a fun final few months to 2024 and the start of 2025. But Tate, have I missed anything?
No, I think we've covered everything.
Lovely. So everyone at home, thank you all for watching. Make sure you comment on what you've been watching, your thought on our ranting. And as I said, we're not just shutting down people's opinions on these things. No. It's very valid to have criticisms of shows, but just really look into
why you're criticizing it.
Yeah, and not to even be smug, but it is literally like, again, I've said that I'm not 100% in the High Republic era. That's my biggest criticism of the show. I'm not in on the era. I'm in on this story. I'm in on some of the characters, the ones that left. And yeah, it's just one of them. We'll be live tomorrow with another Acolyte spoiler discussion. So I guess that will continue there. But we'll be live again with this show at the start of August, covering everything you watched in July. We'll have new reviews this month. There are films coming out. I guess the big ones, Wolverine and Deadpool at the end of July. Off the top of my head, Maxine's out on Friday. I'm definitely sure that you mentioned Despicable Me. There's a few of the films. There's a few more shows. We'll get reviews out as and when we can. We might have a couple of special videos too before Wolverine. And if you want to find us on our social media to find out about other reviews, things you might see early, you can get us on linktree.com/cinemasavvy. We've linked to Redbubble in that description below. But that is going to do it for us today. Once again, thank you all for watching. I'll be sure to see you on the next one. Take care.